Coming up on First at 4, students at another school returned to the classroom following the historic flooding. This school was hit by flooding twice in 2 years. And changes could be coming to the classroom. We'll tell you how federal funding could reimagine how students are taught.
And you may need the sweater if you have any plans tonight. I have all those details coming up as Mountain News First at 4 continues.
Mountain News First at 4 continues.
Students at Riverside Christian School in Breathitt County walked back through the school doors earlier this week after 2 floods devastated the campus in 2 years. Many people wondered how the school would get back on their feet. Principal Meg Asher says they got through it and they are happy the students are back in the classroom.
Just having the kids back, it feels so normal. Everything looks different, everything feels different, but just the normality of having kids in the building, and it's loud at lunch and it's loud all the time, and that part's been really cool.
Asher says there are parts of the school, though, that can no longer be used due to the major flooding. WYMT's Olivia Calfee will have more from Riverside Christian School tonight at 6.
Clouds are on the way out and cooler temperatures are on the way in as we start the new season of fall across the mountains. Here is a live look right now over at UVA Wise. They are still dealing with a few clouds back in the distance, but those will also be clearing as we go through tonight. Current temperature 63. Check out the window coming from the northwest at 12, so that cooler Canadian air is filtering into the region. 72 for Hazard, 71 for Pikeville, 69 in Prestonsburg, and 74 in Irvin. And all of us will be falling into the 50s later on this evening. And how about 40s as we wake up on Friday? Pinpoint Doppler, a clean sweep this afternoon, and that will continue into this evening. So if you do have any plans to head out to the Appalachian Wireless Game of the Week, North Laurel taking on South Laurel, the forecast could not be better. We are dry under a clear sky. You may need the coat or the sweater, though, because it will be a little bit chilly as we get towards the fourth quarter and beyond. But what can you expect for Friday and the weekend? I have those details coming up in just a little bit. Steve.
All right, Cameron, thank you. A woman is in stable condition at a hospital after being shot in Boyd County. The Boyd County Sheriff's Office responded to a shots fired call from someone living on McKnight Street before requesting that Kentucky State Police take over. An investigation is underway as troopers claim that they have been given some conflicting information about the case. After detectives obtained a search warrant to look inside the home, a man who had not been cooperating with authorities could be seen in handcuffs. It's unclear if he is a suspect or a witness. In Franklin County, a car almost hit a student, and it was all caught on camera. It happened Monday on Louisville Road as a 9th grader was getting off the bus. Video from inside the bus shows the child getting off. A split second after he gets away from the bus, a car zips by. Superintendent Mark Kopp says the stop arm was out and the lights were flashing, but the car just goes on by.
School bus stop arms are there for a reason, and we can't have people putting convenience ahead of safety. And unfortunately, that's what happens. When someone makes the decision that their busyness or whatever the reason is for them to go around a bus, it has incredible consequences, and it almost did for us.
The Franklin County Sheriff sent a citation to WYMT's Phil Pendleton stating that Mark Kendall was charged with improper passing and passing a loading or unloading school or church bus. The cause of a Chicago building explosion and collapse remains under investigation. The collapse and explosion on Tuesday left 8 people injured. 3 of those people were seriously hurt. Now other victims of the blast are trying to figure out where they will start over with what little they have left. Liz Nagy has more.
As a woman stands idly on the sidewalk, surveillance video captures the second of 4-story apartment building explodes, and she runs in terror, dodging bricks, cement, and shards of glass spewing into the street. This man's colleague, Shabron Robinson, a West Side postal worker, was inside that building and among the rubble.
His condition, he's in very serious condition right now.
Another camera angle of the blast shows a bright orange flash, a mere instant that shattered the homes and lives of dozens of families, some who don't feel comfortable showing their face.
All our stuff is covered with debris, dust, glass, ceiling, almost everything is smashed up.
This morning, residents returned, allotted just 30 minutes to grab what they could.
Your heart just drops when you think about people who were in that building when it occurred.
The Red Cross and Circle Urban Ministries have stepped up to provide the immediate relief.
Now the question is, where do I put my things? And where do I go next?
One resident says the owner and building management isn't offering enough.
They trying to put us inside another apartment that's $100 and $150 more than what we paying for rent right now.
In a statement, a spokesperson for Urban Alternatives said in part, for all residents, Urban Alternatives will transfer their rents and deposits to cover expenses at their new homes. With their homes now lost without explanation, it's now an hour-by-hour struggle.
Well, within weeks, borrowers across the nation will be able to apply for student loan forgiveness. The Biden administration says it expects to roll out the application system next month. Nationwide, the Biden administration expects 40 million borrowers to qualify. Today, the White House released a state-by-state breakdown showing all 50 states will benefit. The student loan forgiveness extension promises $20,000 in relief for Pell Grant recipients and $10,000 for other borrowers who make less than $75,000 annually.
It's just a little bit more breathing room to give people the comfort to be able to use a little bit of their income to invest back in themselves. And we expect this to really make a difference for millions and millions of hardworking Americans who are going to be able to breathe a little bit more easy.
Now, details of how the process will work are limited, but the U.S. Department of Education says the application form will go live online sometime around mid-October. When that happens, people will be able to log on and apply. Once approved, the department says borrowers will likely see their balances adjusted in 4 to 6 weeks. Divorced couples may now be able to separate their consolidated student loan debt and possibly qualify for student loan forgiveness as well. This comes as Congress passed a bill yesterday after the Senate approved it in June. Until 2006, married couples were allowed to consolidate their federal student loan debt into a single loan, but that made them jointly responsible for the debt even if they divorced. Survivors of domestic violence, economic abuse, or borrowers who can't reach the other borrower will also be able to submit an individual application. The National Assessment of Educational Progress shows reading scores for 9-year-olds dropped for the first time since the 1990s, and math scores dropped for the first time ever. But the Biden administration says there is federal support to turn this around. WYMT Washington News Bureau reporter Jamie Bittner talks about the funding meant to help districts modernize and recover.
Thank you, thank you. We're now, a year past of coming back to the classroom.
A lot of things have changed for students, but the goal remains the same.
The big focus has always been on how do we get them academically successful, and once they're academically successful, they'll feel more comfortable in school.
As students walk these hallways, the U.S. Secretary of Education says it's time to reimagine how education looks in this country, and he wants districts to use federal funding to do just that.
We say we want to reimagine education. We can't go back to what it was like in March 2020. That wasn't good enough.
Miguel Cardona has been visiting schools to encourage everyone to think big when using American Rescue Plan funds. The relief program pumped $130 billion into schools.
This is the year really to raise the bar in education across the country, to give students opportunities that 5 years ago we never thought we could give them. With regard to access to technology and devices, or programming that involves field trips and after-school programs that maybe couldn't be afforded before.
He also suggests extra tutoring for kids in reading and math, mental health programs, and incentives to keep teachers on the job.
To make sure that our kids are well, not only emotionally and socially, but also that they get the academic support that they need.
Where does the ping pong ball start?
Teachers like David Fox in Virginia know the challenges kids face.
I think the academic one is actually one of the bigger ones, but obviously trends across the country tell you there's rises and challenges of mental health, there's rises and challenges of all sorts of rates are up.
To address those concerns, school districts have until 2024 to decide how to spend those American Rescue Plan dollars. In Alexandria, Virginia, I'm Jamie Binner.
Mortgage rates are the highest they've been since 2008. They've been climbing for more than a month now, as Freddie Mac says it's gone up 6.29%. To put that in perspective, it was 2.88% this time last year. Recession fears have been making rates more volatile in the face of yet another rate hike from the Federal Reserve in its ongoing fight against inflation. Because of the higher rates, home prices have started to soften and sales have decreased, but there is still a shortage of available homes for sale. Still ahead on First at 4, have you ever wanted to play on Ted Lasso's team in FIFA? Well, now you can.
And all is quiet across the mountains on Pinpoint Doppler, but will this continue into the weekend? We'll talk about it straight ahead.